The Lockheed Skunk Works program is still running classified flight tests right now, and Congress can't stop it. The Defense Intelligence Agency flagged the oversight gap in writing. The legal authority to compel disclosure exists, but the files are sealed, the budget line is invisible, and the aircraft have no tail numbers. This is about the waived, unacknowledged Special Access Program they were never supposed to name. Skunk Works is Lockheed Martin's Advanced Development Programs division. Officially, it builds experimental aircraft for the United States government. The SR-71 Blackbird, the U-2 spy plane, the F-117 stealth fighter, programs that became public only after decades of classified operation, and only because someone in the executive chain decided you were finally allowed to know. The division has operated since 1943. It runs out of a classified facility near Palmdale, California. It receives what the government calls black budget funding, meaning the line items are classified from most members of Congress. It doesn't go through competitive bidding. It doesn't submit project proposals through normal procurement channels. It gets an allocation that the majority of the Oversight Committee never sees. And that is not an accident. That is the architecture. Here is what the program is actually doing. Skunk Works maintains a category called Waived Unacknowledged Special Access Programs. Waived. That single word is the mechanism. A waived USAP means the executive branch has formally waived the legal requirement to notify Congress that a program exists. Not what the program does, not what it costs, that it exists. The project disappears from budget justification documents. It disappears from classified annexes. It disappears from every ledger. Buried in the National Security Act is a provision allowing the executive to waive congressional notification for any program deemed sensitive enough that disclosure itself would damage national security. Lockheed and its government partners have used this provision to operate active programs for decades without a single congressional briefing. Committee chairs don't receive a redacted summary. They receive nothing. There are aircraft logging telemetry from test ranges right now. The data is timestamped, filed, and sealed, and the elected officials whose job is to oversee this have not been told the program exists. Congress tried to close this. The 1994 National Defense Authorization Act included mandatory disclosure thresholds. If a program exceeded a certain cost ceiling, Congress had to be notified it existed. The provision passed both chambers. It was signed into law. Then the Department of Defense issued implementing guidance that created a single carve-out. Programs where the Secretary of Defense certified that disclosure would damage national security were exempt. The certification requires no external review, no judicial concurrence, no independent audit. The Secretary signs a document. The program drops off the oversight ledger. The 1994 law is still on the books today, so is the carve-out, and it's still running. Here is the part nobody reported. The people positioned to stop it already know it exists. The Gang of Eight, the 8 senior congressional leaders who receive the government's most sensitive intelligence briefings, have been told in select cases that waived programs exist, not the specifics, that they exist. And they are legally prohibited from sharing that information with their own committee staff. No cleared aide enters the room. No notes leave the room. No follow-up briefing can be requested without executive approval. The information enters their awareness and goes nowhere. It cannot be acted on. It cannot be subpoenaed. It cannot be declassified through a congressional vote because the vote would require naming what is being voted on, which is itself classified. The mechanism that makes this permanent is the renewal structure. These programs are reauthorized annually through a classified budget process requiring no congressional vote at all. The black budget, roughly $60 billion a year in classified defense and intelligence spending, passes inside a classified annex to the annual defense bill. Line items within that annex are further compartmented. Programs within those compartments can be individually waived. There is no sunset clause, no automatic declassification trigger, no mandatory review. A program started under a waiver in 1975 is still waived in 2026 unless the person who holds the authority to lift it decides to do so. No one has incentive to lift it. What this means right now is specific. There are aircraft operating in restricted U.S. airspace whose existence is unknown to the people elected to fund them, regulate them, or ground them. There are flight logs, sensor telemetry, persistent identifiers, and classified budget figures sitting inside a Palmdale facility that will never be touched by a Freedom of Information Act request, a congressional subpoena, or a scheduled declassification review. The audit trail for these programs runs through a single executive chain that ends with the Secretary of Defense. No court, no committee, no public record of any kind. If you have ever seen something in the sky that made no navigational sense, no transponder ping, no tail number, no registered flight path, there is a legal structure purpose-built to make sure you never find out what it was. So here is the question no one in Washington will answer on the record. If a program has been waived for 50 years, and every official with the authority to lift that waiver has declined to do so, is the secrecy still protecting national security? Or is it protecting the fact that what's been built is something the public was never meant to see? And if it's the second one, who made that decision? And what did they see that we haven't?